God. Ask God.
Hey Scott, this is Ryan. I had a question in regards to PPC and how we know if we're making money on each sale, and what the ACOS should be and how we can calculate that and know when we're still making a profit depending on what percentage it is. Thank you and have a good day.
Hey, Ryan, thank you so much for the question. Thanks so much for being a listener too, by the way. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to try to answer your question. If anyone is not familiar with Amazon PPC, pay-per-click, I would have you listen to episode 119. I'll probably be doing an updated one as well, but this one here is still relevant. It's going to explain exactly, how you would set up like a quick start. I call it a quick start campaign, kind of like where you can start mining for the data and stuff like that. So anyone that's wondering, that's new about the Amazon pay-per-click and sponsored ads, that's the episode I would definitely go to as of right now. But to answer your question and what I believe your question is how do I know what my profit will be, or how do I know I'm still profitable running a campaign? Like, what's my ACOS? Like, what is that? And a good rule of thumb is, and again, it's going to depend on what you paid for what your margin is, right? So if you're 39% margin, well, then a 39% ACOS would probably be okay, right? Or 38, let's call it, right? Because you want to be a little bit under. So it's almost like that's your break even. But again, that's going to depend. The other thing that's going to depend on this a lot to me is we're looking at the surface level of that keyword, right? So if we're going after stainless steel garlic press, and let's say that we hit our 38% ACOS and we're like, okay, cool, we're profitable, or we're not profitable, we're break even, that's cool. But what we don't know, and again, you can kind of look at your data on the back end or on your search term report and stuff, and you can start to kind of see how many sales came from pay-per-click and how many sales came from organic without pay-per-click, and you can kind of see that, but it will be kind of hard to see what keyword converted organically. And I know some people have some hacks out there on how to do this, but here's the deal. If you're spending the money on the keyword and you're ranking for that keyword now, there could be some evidence there that could be because you're bidding on that keyword and you're getting sales through that keyword. So what I'm trying to say is, even though you might not be profitable on the pay-per-click on the back end, okay, in your reporting, if you're making sales organically, then that is profit. So you'd have to merge those two together to get an exact thing. So my rule always is in the beginning, I'm going to go as much as 100% because I just want to get sales, right? I just want to get sales. I want to get the data, right? But that's not forever. Then we have to start dialing it in. We have to say, like, what's our magic number? Well, we might want to say, well, let's just go now to a break-even point and run it there and see how that does. And then if we can keep that ACOS to be 35 to 39%, and I'm still I'm break even, almost profitable, but I'm starting to rank for that keyword, then I may want to still push that, right? And then from there, I can start to kind of say, well, it's not worth even break even on this one because it's not helping me rank, right? So you got to kind of look at that stuff. But then the other side of things is, let's say that you are just breaking even on that keyword, but it's getting you sales. The other thing that a lot of people don't mention is that sale, if you have an autoresponder or a sales backer campaign hooked up to that, you're also sending those people through to potentially give you a review or feedback, which can then help your account and your listing. So that's another part of just getting the sale. So a lot of people just want to look at, okay, I spent this, I made this, like I get it. But at the end of the day, you got to look, is everything profitable? Like, is the account profitable? And if you're spending way too much, if you're like 60, 70 or 100% ACOS, then we got to look into that. We got to see what keywords are making that ACOS go up and which ones are actually, because a lot of times, and this is another mistake a lot of people will do, is they'll set up an account with 100 keywords in it. And then they'll look at the overall top level view of the category or of the campaign. And in that campaign, it'll say that you're 60% ACOS. But if they expand inside of there to see all the 100 keywords, you're also going to see that there might be 2 or 3 of them that are a 4% ACOS, but there's one that's 100% ACOS, and there's another one that's 75% ACOS. So what do you do in that case? Well, you can either pause those campaigns or you can just lower the bid so you're only going to pay 5 cents a click if you even get any clicks. So you see what I'm saying? We just went ahead and we just kind of tweaked and kind of pruned that campaign, and then we would let that run another week or two, and then we'd see if that ACOS has improved now overall amongst all of those keywords. Again, we can go on a whole nother hour here, or we can go on for a whole nother hour here talking about pay-per-click, which we may do here in a future episode. And I probably should get that on the calendar because I know that's a big topic and a lot of people struggle with that. But really in the beginning, it's keeping it simple. And then understanding your margin, I think, is another key thing. But then also thinking, are you in the launch phase? If you're in the launch phase, your budget will be a little bit higher. Your ACOS can be higher. And then you also got to be thinking about the sales that you do get as a potential reviewer or a feedback, because you have those people that are being messaged through your autoresponder, through SalesBacker, if you're using that. So I know that was long-winded. Hopefully that helped. Let's go ahead and listen to the next question, and I'll give you my answer.
Hey, Scott, this is Mike. I'm calling from New Jersey. Just wanted to say thanks for all the great information. My question is, I'm looking at a potential product and everything checks out so far, the sales, the reviews, and the camel validation. And my question is, when I actually click on the product page, I noticed that right now they're having a limited time special product promotion going on, and I was wondering if that should be an automatic red flag. Should I immediately turn away? Just want to know what your thoughts on that were, as far as deciding if it would still be a good product for choosing as a first product. Thanks again, Scott. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, Mike from New Jersey. What's up, man? Thank you so much for the question. Kind of feel like we were neighbors in past years. I was from New York. You were from Jersey. I've been to Jersey. So yeah, well, glad to be neighbors, I guess, or past neighbors. Anyway, thank you so much for being a listener and the question. I appreciate it. And I'm gonna tell anyone right now that's listening that is saying, like, what's he talking about? He went through the validation to the camel. Like, what's this? What is he talking? Camel. What are you talking about? Right? Episode 189 will break that all down for you. And really what it is, it's a process that I go through, and I teach this, to where you are going to not just look at the surface numbers, meaning you're not going to go through maybe Jungle Scout or Amasuite, whatever you're using. You're not going to just use the tool and rely on that. You're going to then go over to a site called camel.com, which will allow you to see the history of that listing and that item. You'll be able to see the pricing. You'll be able to see the BSR, the bestseller rank, over the course of time, be able to see how long they've been selling. Then from there, we're going to go over to Google Trends. We're going to see if it's a trending type of thing, or if it's maybe something that's seasonal. Like, we're going to be able to cross-check all of these different things. And I do a video walkthrough showing that in episode 189. So theamazingseller.com/189. You can find that there. Definitely go check that out if you're in the product research stage, because I feel that that's a big thing that most people, they just don't take it a step further. And that there can, it can help to make you feel a little bit more confident about that product that you're picking. Because a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to pick a dud. Well, do a little bit more digging and a little bit more history on that product, and then that can prevent that from happening. Now, you bring up a great point. Number one, you said that you're looking at this one product, this one listing, and the numbers all check out. You ran it through those different filters that we talk about, and that kind of like that validation period. And it looked like it was good. But then you also notice that once you go to the page that they're running a limited time promo. So yes, boom, red flag. Like, that's going to be a red flag to me. But what would you do next? Well, the next thing that I would do is I would want to see my competitors. There's got to be other people selling a similar product. I'm not going to bank my decision on one seller. I need to see that there's depth and demand with other sellers. So is there other sellers that are doing even half the sales of that first one? Because the BSR and the sales per month and all that stuff, if this company in business, like you said, I think you said that they're not that old either. So a lot of those sales are probably promotions. They're probably, yes, the thing lists for $25, but they're selling it for $15. So their sales are up naturally, right? So that's where you can get, you can kind of get led down the wrong road. So then I would want to validate it against another listing or another seller and try to validate it through them. So you might want to use 2 or 3 different sellers to validate that there's history, that there's depth, that there's demand. You want to look and see that, they've been selling for longer than a month and a half, that they're not fluctuating their price up and down like, $9.95, $20, $9.95, $20. Like, you want to look at that stuff. And by going to the free tool, camel.com, you can check that stuff out. Google Trends again. And then just, again, looking at the data inside of whatever tool you're using. So you want to cross-reference all of those. So I would say episode 189 for anyone that is thinking to themselves, like, I think I found it, right? But you haven't ran it through this yet, you definitely want to run it through that. And I would say to you, Mike, go try to find a couple other sellers that are selling the similar product, so you can validate them, not just that one product, because that to me would be a giant red flag if I was banking everything on them. And then you go and you launch and you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to sell this thing for $24.95, but then you find out that other person, they sold a bunch for $14.95, and really the market's only going to pay $14.95. Now you're kind of out of luck there. So I would definitely say try to find a couple other sellers that can validate those sales and the price that you can sell it for. All right, so definitely go check that out, guys. Though episode 189, I'll put it in the show notes to this episode, which is episode 313. So theamazingseller.com/313. Well, hey there. Thank you so much for listening to that episode of Ask Scott. Now, that was just a highlight from one of our full episodes where I generally answer 3 to 4 questions on a podcast. If you want to go back and listen to all of the past archives of not just the Ask Scott session, but all of the full episodes where I do interviews with top Amazon sellers, people starting from scratch and building a business, if you want to listen to any of those episodes, head over to theamazingseller.com and you can find all of that over there. You can also find details there on how you can ask your own question and get it aired on an upcoming Ask Scott session and possibly see it here on YouTube or just on the podcast. All right, so definitely head over to theamazingseller.com. There's tons of resources over there for you to be able to build your e-commerce and Amazon business. So definitely go check that out. Now, I just wanted to remind you one thing before I let you go. There's a lot of information out there and some of it is really, really good. What I want you to remember is you have to not just consume the information, you have to actually apply that information. So take this information that you learned here today and apply it to your business. And this way here, you can get results. As my shirt says, I wear it almost daily. Take action. We'll see you guys.